Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Planet X News, May 12th, 2019. And ladies and gentlemen, the Earth is heating up much faster than normal. And also, we will have much more severe weather on the horizon. And we're also going to be taking a look at some of the space weather from yesterday and what is happening currently today. I'm going to give everybody a few minutes to get their notifications from the boob tube, YouTube, and everybody will start to filter into our live chat if they are up this early morning. I'd also like to say Happy Mother's Day to all the moms out there and also the dads that happen to play a double role. Listen, folks, I've been looking at a lot of data over the last couple of days, and I didn't do a live stream yesterday, even though I should, because we had another coronal mass ejection on the sun, and this one was actually Earth-facing, and I mean dead on. I'll be showing you all of that information, but what I want to center this live stream on in the beginning is what's happening to the Earth right now. I've had a lot of emails and inbox messages over the last 72 hours, and people are very concerned about what is happening with their weather. And I'm getting a lot of feedback from people in Canada. I'm getting a lot of feedback from people that live in the Great Lakes region of the United States. And also, I'm hearing from a lot of people down south, specifically, Texas, Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, Arkansas, all of these states. And I'm also hearing from some subscribers of mine down in South America. And things aren't looking too good for a lot of people, folks. And as I've mentioned many times in the most recent past, this is something that we are going to have to adjust to, and it's going to be pretty hard, and it's going to be harder for some folks. And this severe weather, folks, this is just something that we are going to have to try to get used to, and also the influx of this space weather. And what's happening out there in our solar system, ladies and gentlemen, it's not too good. I'll be quite frank with all of you. I'm not going to sit here and lie to all of you and say that there are better days on the horizon. Maybe there is a decade from today, but not anytime soon. And one of the most important things that I wanted to do with my YouTube channel whenever I started it many years ago was to give all of you the truth about what is happening as I find it. I want to disclose all of that to each and every one of you. And then over the years, I've become a sort of a teacher for a lot of you that are actually trying to learn about what is happening. And I know a lot of you have started your own research and you're keeping tabs on things. And that's great. That's what we should all be doing. But this recent data that I've had come in and I've been looking over for the last 2 days, the Earth is heating up much faster than normal. Now, we are only in the first 12 days of May. And yes, some parts of the world will be getting warmer weather. But there are parts of the world right now, folks, where the temperatures are over 110 degrees, 115 degrees in the month of May in the Northern Hemisphere. Very odd, very strange. Over in India, I was talking yesterday with my web developer who lives in northern India, and they have already had 111 people die because of the temperatures reaching 115 degrees. Now, not only did India take a massive hit by that cyclone, now they have these very, very hot temperatures, and they increased very rapidly. And we're seeing this in different spots of the world, not the entire northern hemisphere, but different spots. And if you remember, I said, a few weeks ago, we will see these patches of areas on the planet, on our Earth, where we will have these very extreme temperatures. Some areas will be relatively moderate. Some may be just slightly cooler. But these very hot temperatures, they have made their way all the way up into parts of northern Russia already, where the temperatures should only be maybe in the high 50s to low 60s. They were peaking out yesterday and already today in the mid 80s. And this is a portion of Russia that's right near northern Finland. They should still have snow on the ground, but they don't. And temperatures are heating up very rapidly in the North Pole. I mean, let's put it this way, folks. You could go stand at the top of the world right now as we speak with just a lightweight jacket on. Yeah. So a lot of this ice melt is going to accelerate very rapidly over the next 30 to 60 days. And I'm going to be keeping an eye on that because that's probably going to cause more issues with our weather. We have very, very erratic movements in the jet stream again. I'm going to be going over that with you because that is what is causing this very intense weather pattern that keeps moving across the country of Mexico into Texas and just dropping buckets of rain, tornadoes, high winds all throughout some of these southern states like Texas, Louisiana, Alabama, Mississippi, parts of Arkansas, and it's stretching in a diagonal pattern all the way across to the east coast of the United States. What I'm seeing in some of these predictive models is that this is actually not going to end anytime soon, and it's actually going to get worse. And what I'm kind of worried about is the folks that live within the Gulf region, the Gulf of Mexico. We may see a very early hurricane form in the Gulf, and the potential for a category 4 or 5 early on, well, it's there. And we all know that there's nowhere for a hurricane to run to when it erupts in the Gulf of Mexico. It's going to make landfall somewhere. And I don't know, folks. You know, the land is so saturated in all of these areas, and there's going to be more catastrophic flooding in the central part of the United States, from Minnesota all the way down the Mississippi. We are already seeing this. And I mentioned it, a few weeks ago, and I told all of you that this was going to happen. But folks, these things are accelerating. They're happening so fast. I think 3 weeks ago, I said to myself, okay, maybe by, the end of May, we'll start to see some of this. And then it proves me wrong, because 7 days later, not a month later, 7 days later, it happens. Just yesterday, there was a train derailment in Mississippi due to flooding. Washed out portions of the tracks, and it was a very, very bad train derailment. One person so far has lost their life. I wrote up an article on that first thing this morning on the Planet X News website, and we'll go over some of that info. We're also seeing an abundance of meteors shooting through the sky. I got video yesterday of a meteor in southwest Michigan just blazing across the nighttime sky. Great footage. A few daytime meteors were actually spotted in Mexico. So there's all kinds of things going on in our skies. Not only are they chemtrailing more heavily now, I haven't seen the sun here in my neck of the woods now in 4 days. They're out first thing in the morning. So we've talked about that stratospheric aerosol injection, as they call it, and there's no doubt, folks, there's no doubt in my mind that they are definitely trying to bounce back a lot of this solar radiation, infrared radiation. They're trying to bounce it back out into space. There's a very high possibility that they are using some newer materials in these chemtrails that may be absorbing some of that radiation, also reflecting it back out into space, but they cannot stop it all. Here's one of the biggest factors. Whenever they create that huge canopy over top of us, they're literally locking in all of the carbon dioxide, and they're also locking in the heat. So that's why things tend to heat up faster. There is some talk out there that because of what they're doing, it is kind of accelerating this climate change, where now man is going to be responsible for climate change. But not like the scientists say, with pollution and discharge from industry. No, they're heating it up from above. And our ionosphere is also heating up. Everything is heating up, folks. You cannot place an object like the Earth under intense infrared radiation and solar radiation and expect it not to heat up. Big factor right now is that the oceans are heating up. And they are heating up rapidly. And I mean rapidly. Intensification that is just 2 weeks old. This is all happening within a 2-week span. And parts of the ocean where this heat is coming from is now interacting with the jet stream and these weather patterns. And it's going to be bringing more and more of this severe weather straight across Mexico, into the Gulf of Mexico, across the state of Texas, and down through these lower states in the south. And then some of the other upper level winds are going to grab a hold of that and bring it straight across the northeastern part of the United States and then up into Canada. Now, just 2 weeks ago, Canada was in serious trouble with flooding in 5 or 6 cities. Now, I got reports 72 hours ago about the Great Lakes. The Great Lakes are now flooding. Did an article on that, I think, just 2 days ago. And they are warning people to get out of the way. There's nothing that they can do about this flooding in the Great Lakes. People that live along the shore in Michigan, boy, oh boy, they're not in good shape. And there was just some massive flooding in Paraguay, down in South America. We're going to see more and more of this, folks, as we get through the rest of this month and into June. There were also some catastrophic floods that ripped through a few towns in Russia. And down in Texas, I got a video from a guy who sent me this piece of video of hailstones the size of baseballs. I have the video for you, and wait till you hear it. Seeing it's one thing, but hearing it is another. And if you even try to run out in that type of a hailstorm, you risk your life. A baseball-sized hailstone will be traveling anywhere from 100 to 125 miles per hour. If it hits you in the head, well, think about it. It's not going to be a good day for you, and you may even die being struck with a baseball-sized hailstone at 125 miles an hour. It's doing a lot of damage. We're seeing more and more of these weather anomalies all over the world. And the worst has yet to even begin. That's the bad part. That's the bad part. But anyways, folks, I also prepared a video going over some of this space weather. I mentioned we did have this coronal mass ejection, Earth facing, yesterday. It was actually pointed upward just a little bit, but by the 14th and 15th, going into the 16th, we're going to see the intense flow of the electron flux impacting Earth. We may see a decent uptick in earthquake activity. There wasn't a lot of energy that came from this coronal mass ejection, but it just goes to show you, this is what we talk about, being faced with a coronal mass ejection like this as we dip further into this solar minimum. We already have an influx of this infrared radiation coming from these stellar core objects that now orbit our sun. So we are basically looking down the double barrel of a shotgun. And sooner or later, we're going to be in the wrong place at the wrong time. And I've actually been thinking to myself of better ways that I can possibly prepare my property. I already have the food and the water items stocked and things of that nature. I do not have a generator to gain power from. I'm actually thinking very hard about buying a very large whole home generator. They're quite expensive, and they run off of gasoline or diesel fuel. So that would mean I would have to start storing large amounts of gasoline or diesel fuel. I don't know. I don't like that much fuel hanging around, other than to just fill up my lawnmower and cut the grass. There was this test run, real quick, I want to mention. This test run that NASA did a week ago about this asteroid strike in New York. This was this whole scenario thing that they did. Well, the final results came out, and NASA failed miserably, as of their own words, as they tried to protect the city of New York. They destroyed the city of Denver, Colorado. So with the increase every single day of these near-Earth objects, meteors zipping across our skies, daytime, nighttime, it doesn't matter. Sooner or later, one's going to impact. Let's just hope and pray that it does not impact a major city like New York, Chicago, LA, Miami, Dallas, any of these big cities where you have tall skyscrapers. God forbid any one of these objects crash into a 50, 60-story building. because we all know that these cities are jam-packed with skyscrapers. And the odds, well, who knows? Who knows? All I know is I'm getting more and more people sending me these videos of these objects zipping through their sky, meteors, and it's like every day now. So the skies are becoming very, very active. And folks, if you see something zipping across the sky, get that cell phone out and try to get it on video, most definitely. But I'm going to jump into what I was talking about in relation to this this weather and how things are heating up. And I'm just going to go ahead and bring up the null school here. And let's go ahead and let this baby play. What we're looking at here is the sea surface ocean temperatures. And if you watch down here in the corner of my screen over here to the left, as I click on different areas, like for instance right here in this light magenta purple area, over here to the left, you will see that sea surface ocean temperature pop up in the lower left. That area right there between the very southern tip of Mexico, starting in the Central America, look at the water temperatures. 89 degrees Fahrenheit. 89. So that is very conducive to these storms starting to erupt right down in this neck of the woods. Because of the way of the airflow, that is bringing all of this, whatever occurs here, and I'll show you, I have the GOES 16 satellite pulled up. But these weather currents, these air currents are going to move right across here, and they're moving a little bit further north into Mexico. It's bringing all of that in an arced pattern right up here, right up into the United States, right up through the Gulf of Mexico. And then also patterns, as you see, moving right through the Caribbean and in between the Yucatan Peninsula and Cuba. So where's that going to end up? Somewhere in the Panhandle, or possibly Houston, Texas. And there are already parts of Houston now, again, that are underwater. I was watching video yesterday. Felt very bad for these people. One young lady was up to her thighs in water. Another gentleman up to his knees in water. Very horrible situations occurring. But as you can see, we'll just take a look at a few of these ocean temperatures, and you could see by the darker colors where my green circle is right now, ocean temperature, almost 86 degrees. Getting up in here into the middle of the Gulf, ocean temperatures, 79.2 degrees. If you go close in here to Cuba, where a lot of things start to form, 83 degrees already. Okay, we're only in the first 12 days of May. These temperatures are kind of about 30 to 45 days ahead of schedule. So the potential for more and more and more catastrophic storms, heavy downloads of rain, downpours of rain, it's all coming, folks. We may get a day or two of rest from this, but it's not going to end. It's just going to continue. So if you live in any of these regions along the Gulf or in any of these states that I mentioned, like Texas, Louisiana, Arkansas, Alabama, Mississippi, soon to be Georgia and Tennessee, all of you guys are going to be in the pathway of what is to come. If we just spin the earth around a little bit here, naturally, you know, the waters will be warmer around the equator, naturally. This southern tip right here in right along the eastern coast of excuse me, the western coast of Africa. Look at that, 87.5 degrees. That is not too damn good right there, because as you can see, and this is where part of this region is where some of these hurricanes start to spawn. Normally, they're about, just about right here where these hurricanes start to form as storm systems roll off of Africa. But we haven't seen anything like that out there yet. Going over here, oh boy, just west of India, look at these temperatures. My God, they're 87.7, 88.1. Let's get into the Burgundy, which should be a little cooler, 85.8. Very, 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 very hot. I mean, it is all over this area. 87.1, 87.9. Out here in the Pacific, 88.3. Now, again, yes, some of this is right along the equator. The temperature should be warm, but 87.1 degrees, and that's south of the equator. And if you compare it to just down here around New Zealand, 65.3 degrees surface ocean temperature. And what's kind of odd is if you look out here into the Pacific Ocean, let's go all the way out here to Hawaii, 78.3 degrees. Well, we just dropped down just a little bit, 83.5 degrees. And whenever I pull up the GOES 16 satellite, you're going to see this stream of storms just all the way across the equator. And they look like they're moving this way, towards the west. But in actuality, they're being sucked back up because of the jet stream. And I'll show you the jet stream. And it's pulling that right along these warmer waters where you see 85.7, 84.7, and then you get into this area where we just talked about. And this area, oh my God, 88.3 degrees. So I'm going to go ahead and show you what is happening with this jet stream once again. And, it's not it's not too good. So you can see these jet stream patterns here as it's pulling directly across the country of Mexico. I'll zoom in a little bit more, and you can see it's right over top of Texas, right over top of the states that I was mentioning. And that is pulling all of that moisture, all of that hot air, along with the moisture, and bingo. Once it gets over central Mexico, it heats up even more. And I've been watching these storms erupt in central Mexico, and the way the jet stream and the wind patterns are, it brings it right into Texas. Right into Texas. And then all hell breaks loose. Nothing that you can do about it except watch your weather. As you can also see, the way that the jet stream pattern is, one stream, I mean, this is completely all broken. It should not look like this, but it does. But as you can see, this one jet stream pattern weakens back here, but then it intensifies. This is its own stream wrapping around here. And then you have a split here. Two portions of the jet stream blending together. And this is the culprit right here where my cursor is for bringing all of the storms upward right into the northeast and also the Great Lakes region and also up into Canada. And if I zoom in even more, tell you what I'll do is I'll actually stop the grid from playing. That way you can get a better look at where this intensification is. And you can gauge what states that it is going over. And as you can see, it just goes over the entire northern part of the United States, all the way up into Maine, all the way up into Ottawa, Montreal, all of these cities up in Canada. And they're going to be under the gun for quite some time. And if we have any of our Canadian followers listening, hell, you guys already know. You've already been through severe flooding last week, and with what's happening on the Great Lakes, I don't know, folks. It's not looking too good this early on in the spring. My goodness, we're only March 21st. We're not even a month into the actual spring equinox, and we have this much catastrophic damage worldwide in the northern hemisphere. Just not good at all, you know. In my neck of the woods, I live 25 miles south of the city of Pittsburgh. We have such saturated grounds from rain that we have landslides and rock slides all over the place, all around the city, within the city limits, everywhere. Down here where I live, just the other day, 2 major roads closed because the whole entire 400-foot hillside just decided to crash down onto the road. Nobody was hurt. It happened in the middle of the night. There was nobody on the 4-lane highway. And one of the boulders that came down was the size of a house. And it's kind of sedimentary rock, sandstone. You know, this whole area of the United States was once underwater. And you can tell whenever you look at it, if you happen to be, you know, driving by or driving along one of these river roads and look up, you can see it's all sedimentary. But when you have rocks the size of houses crashing down from 300 to 400 feet up, yeah, doesn't make for a very good day if you happen to be underneath one of those. Very wet weather, once again, down in Florida. But the key areas that I'm going to be paying very close attention to is, once again, this steady stream that's going to be moving off of the Pacific, straight over Mexico. The storms are going to erupt right here where my cursor is, and then they just blow this way, right into Texas. They get into warmer air in Texas, mixed with some of the moist air coming up from the Gulf, and that is your catalyst for these supercells to start to erupt. And I've been watching them erupt over Louisiana as well as Alabama and Mississippi. One thing you have to watch out for during these supercells is the formation of tornadoes, and not just one. I mean, you could have dozens of them. And these tornadoes have already claimed lives and millions of dollars already in property damage. So, you know, once again, you know, kind of heed my warning. Keep a very close eye on your weather. It's just something that we're all going to have to do from this point on. I am in the bullseye area, also up here where I live in the Northeast. And I think that we're going to have some flooding issues, not exactly where I live in my neighborhood because I'm elevated a little bit more, but a lot of the folks that are down around the river valley areas, you know, I've been trying to warn them, but, you know, it's not so easy to just pick up your whole life and just move away. So you got to take that stand, and you have to fight back. But this is what we're looking at here, folks. It's just not looking good. If you just keep turning the globe and looking around the world, you'll see very, very strange, erratic jet stream patterns. And matter of fact, I'll just pan out here and we'll look down onto the top of the world. And I'm going to go ahead and just start this so we can see the patterns move and the flow of the jet stream. The jet stream you're looking at is in pink, and the pink and the green, but mostly the pink. And if you look down right where my cursor is, well, that's top dead center of our world, the Earth. And you can see there's huge breaks in this jet stream. It's just all over the place. It's very, very erratic. And as I was saying earlier, temperature anomalies up in this area. Matter of fact, I'm going to go ahead and shoot back over that way. And I wanted to show you temperature anomalies up in this neck of the woods for this part of Russia right up here near Finland. Let's get out of Celsius. 85 degrees right now. Right now, as we speak. This is all real time. 85 degrees. And if you look, not too far from that 85 degree mark, get over in here into this colder air, it's 30 degrees Fahrenheit. So you're looking at a 50 degree drop in temperature in just a very, very short distance. While we were on the temperatures, I wanted to show you now things are actually cooling down in India because of the time difference. But 107 right now as we speak. Different parts of India, 107.8. 108 degrees. Saudi Arabia, 107.1. Now, naturally, this area of Africa gets kind of warm, but not this warm, not this fast, not this time of year. 108.2 degrees. Here looks like a pretty good hot spot right here. 111.3 degrees. Right now, as you're living and breathing, that is the temperature in these locations. Now, if you get into the orange area, that's relatively moderate, 85 degrees. And it looks like Australia's cooling down a little bit. Their most southern region, 38.5 degrees. But then right up here in their northern region, they're still warm at a moderate 70 degrees. But looking at the equator, right dead center on the equator, 87 degrees. But as you move just a little bit north, look at these temperatures. 107, 108, almost 109. And again, naturally, this portion of Africa, this is normally pretty warm, but not this warm this fast. And this is still very odd, this warm temperatures all the way up through here. 95 degrees. 94.6, 91.1, 91.4. This is crazy. This is just absolutely insane for this time of year in this region. It's just pretty startling. The Earth is going through its phase of tilting now. As we move into the summer solstice, and more of the northern hemisphere is going to be facing the sun. But that also means that more and more of our planet in the northern hemisphere is going to be getting pelted with the cosmic rays, the solar radiation, and this intense infrared radiation. So that's something to think about. That is all on the horizon. I'm going to jump out of the Knoll School here, and I'm going to take a look at the GOES 16 weather satellite, and this is what I was mentioning, folks. This trail of storms here. Now, the way that it looks is that it's moving to the west, and in fact, it is. But as it gets caught up in that jet stream, as we looked, and it's coming here, right here, as you can already see the effects. It's starting to pull this weather inward towards Mexico. Now, this is in real time, so we're still very, very early in the morning. It's only just a little after 9 a.m., and already you can see these areas are starting to erupt and form these storm cells. That one dissipated pretty quick. But once we get past 10, 11, 12 o'clock in the afternoon, Central Time, the heating up of the atmosphere, you're going to see these huge, just huge red blotches of these storm cells, and they'll start to set up. This is the key area. I'm going to zoom in right here. I've been detecting, there is this mountainous area just right here in Mexico. And this is where you can barely see it now because we're dealing with real time. But this is where I've been watching these storm cells give birth, right here in this section. It literally looks like you have an aerial view of an industrial steel mill with a bunch of smokestacks, and the smokestacks are just protruding all of this white pillowy smoke up into the air. I'll tell you, at one point last week, I actually thought it was being man-made by what I was seeing. It just looked too uniform. And as you can see, we could zoom in a little further. You see the way that these trails start to head to the east, just right there. Now, as soon as that heats up, if we were to take a look at this in 2 to 3 hours from now, you're going to start to see all of this cloud cover increase. It's going to look like smokestacks spewing white clouds up into the air, and then they get caught in the jet stream, and it brings it straight into Texas. And then from there, well, you can see which way the direction of the storms is going. Some of it is heading up into the state of Illinois and also Indiana and Michigan, as you can see. And the rest of it is headed right up here into my backyard. Things are going to shift a little bit over the course of the next month, but not that much. Not that much, folks. And again, they're already seeing very, very severe flooding around several of the Great Lakes, Lake Erie, Lake Michigan. It's already starting to happen. And it's just a matter of time before all of these people that live in these regions around the Great Lakes, they're going to have to evacuate, period. That's a very, very dangerous situation up there near the Great Lakes. They cannot control what happens up there on the lakes like they can control levels somewhat on rivers with locks and dams. So I'm going to be keeping a very close eye on what's happening up there. I've got some friends up there in Michigan, and I've also got some friends that live right along the shoreline in Erie. They're already gone. They decided to head south and just kind of wait it out. But they may be waiting for a few weeks. But we'll see. So folks, keep an eye on that weather. If you're living anywhere in these areas, like for instance from Texas, you see the diagonal line stretching across. At any given time, these storm cells can erupt within minutes. And when that happens, we can see very, very severe tornado activity spawning just literally within seconds. And you definitely don't want to be around or outside. You want to definitely seek some type of shelter. So we're going to go ahead and get out of here. The GOES 16. And we're going to jump into the climate analyzer. And, once again, we're looking at the temperatures. And these are air surface temperatures. And you can clearly see the blue naturally is cooler temperatures. The darker blue and the magenta purple, that's below freezing. And you can see the only area is the mountainous regions of central Greenland that are pretty cool. Temperatures up in the very, very tip of the world in the North Pole, about 17 degrees. Like I said, if you were up there, you can, have a lightweight coat on and have no problem. We're going to take a look at the rest of the world. Where did it go? What happened to it? Let me refresh this. Well, I don't know what happened to the Earth. All of a sudden, this just stopped. Let me see if we can reboot this. Figures. Right when I'm in the middle of a live stream. Wow, it doesn't want to work now. They don't want me to show you this. Oh, they may be offline. I don't know. It seems like they are. It just keeps on spinning. Well, we won't be looking at the climate analyzer. They're completely offline. Yeah. Well, let's jump out of there. And before we go ahead and do that, I'll pull up this space weather. So, folks, just a word of caution. Watch your weather here. It's not going to be nice. I'm going to show you this video real quick. This was the hailstorm. This was in Texas. Hold on one second. I'm going to turn that down a little bit because this is actual sound. And these are baseball-size hailstones. And I don't know, folks, you may want to turn your volume down a little bit for this because it is pretty loud. And I'm just going to go ahead and turn back here. But just listen to this.
I know I got an insurance claim coming. I'm thinking, well, I go down.
Now, doesn't that sound like gunshots? I mean, that actually sounds like you're at a gun range. And you can see as the hailstones are smashing into the water. I'll go ahead and mute it, and we'll let it play through. But you could see on the ground level, these are the size of baseballs, maybe a little bit smaller. I mean, they're hitting the ground with some serious impact. If you look down there in the grass, I mean, you could see the size of them. That one's the size of a baseball right there. And you can see the impact as they're hitting the ground. So just imagine if you tried to make a run for it to your car or to, seek shelter. You got hit in the head with one of these. I mean, it could kill you. It could render you unconscious. You'd be laying out there getting pelted. Look at that out in the water. That is one hell of a piece of footage.
Well, I go down.
Now you tell me, doesn't that sound like gunshots? That would kill you instantly, getting hit in the head with one of those. I mean, that's just, crazy. Here is the fireball that was caught on camera. I believe it was in the nighttime on the 10th, 11th in southwest Michigan. Look at that. Now, I don't have the meteors that zipped across the sky in Mexico in the daytime. And they were just right within the cloud tops. Now, there was no impact. They actually skirted straight through the upper atmosphere and no impact. But wow, what a sight. So we're seeing more and more and more of these fireballs in the sky, and it seems to be all of them are in the northern hemisphere. I've been keeping track of it on the Meteor Society website, and you can track the sightings of fireballs and meteors. But the majority of them are all being seen right up here in the northern hemisphere. So, folks, if you're outside at nighttime, or, well, doesn't matter, even in the daytime, you may see one of these streaking fireballs whisking through the skies. Break out your cell phone camera, keep it to the ready, and try to get yourself some footage of it. But let's just hope and pray that one of these bad boys doesn't impact a city. Because if it does, well, it's not going to be a good day. It's going to be a really, really bad day. I want to show you this piece of footage also. This was, I'm going to mute this. This was in, this was in South America. I think this was around either Argentina, Bolivia, somewhere in that neck of the woods. So much rain. That is a massive floodgate. And as you can see, I mean, I could turn the volume up, but it is so loud that it's pushing and overflowing those floodgates. And they were trying to regulate the amount of water that they were releasing, but because of the heavy downpours, they couldn't. They literally had to open these floodgates. Look at that. That's pretty intense. I would not want to be downstream of that. I can tell you that right now. Pretty intense. I'm going to jump out of here real quick. And I'm going to pull up this space weather video. I put all of this together just in one video for us to take a look at. And I'm just going to stop it right here. We're just looking at the magnetosphere, the magnetopause. And just over the last 48 hours, folks, I've seen all kinds of anomalies happening. Some of them I can't even explain just yet. All I know is our Earth's magnetic shield, as we just call it, our shield, the Earth's shield, it's being pelted. I mean, just left and right. And a lot of it is coming from the solar wind. We will not see these coronal mass ejection impact till, well, I would say the 15th of this month, in about 4 days. It wasn't that intense. We may see some auroras, maybe some intermittent cell phone anomalies. I don't think we'll see any electrical grid problems. But it was small. I'm going to let this go ahead and play out. I'll just narrate through it. But we're looking at the magnetopause, and you could see it completely disappeared. And this is showing us the pressure. So it's completely gone. It just disappeared. And it stayed like this for, over an hour. Here we're looking at the density, this plasma density. And you just look at it. It just erupts. And there's the little tiny Earth right there in the center of it. And just getting hammered. This is just, an amazing time to be alive to see all of this. But this is hurting our planet. And here you're looking at the velocity of this solar wind. The solar wind was relatively slow, 300-400 kilometers per second, but it's intense. And these models that you're looking at now, they should not look like this at all. They should not look like that. Here we're looking at the Solar Dynamics Observatory, the 171 angstrom view of the sun. This is directly our view as we see it from Earth. And you see the sunspots 2741 and 2740. As I mentioned in my last live stream 2 days ago, my theory that I was trying to form was telling me that these sunspots would fizzle out as they were Earth facing. And they did. They fizzled out. They're basically almost gone. And I don't think that we will see much from them until they get over here to the right side of the sun, and these stellar core objects start making their upward momentum to do another loop around our sun. When this occurs, if the timing is right, these two sunspots will eventually start to interact with a magnetic connection with this object, or I believe there are now 3 of them that we did visualize. These sunspots may reform on the backside of the sun like they did the last time. So we're going to be watching that very, very carefully. Right in this region, right here, is where the small coronal mass ejection occurred. It was directly Earth-facing. However, the energy was kind of pushed upwards, more towards the northern pole of the sun. But we'll take a look at it on the CME tracker. So you'll be able to see it right in this region. It really wasn't too much to write home about. But again, we will feel the impact. You'll see it here real good. And it kind of created this round, perfect, circular plume that came off of the sun. Right after that, you see all of the scattering, the little dots all over the video. That's all of the particles that are hitting the detector on the GOES 14 SXI satellite. And this is giving you kind of like an X-ray view of the sun. And it's pretty interesting. Now, this is yesterday. This is the magnetopause yesterday. And again, look at this. It just disappears. This was very alarming for me yesterday when I was looking at this, because I'm thinking to myself, what the hell is going on? The solar wind is low, but, unfortunately, we are getting, as you can see here, wave after wave after wave after wave, and then bingo, look at the density. It's just incredible. And again, folks, this is why I keep stressing, we are only in the very, very beginning of this solar minimum. And this is the effects on the Earth now, right now. Just imagine what it's going to be like in a year from now, or 2 years from now. These solar minimums last for 11 years. So, as the activity on the sun, let's just put it this way, as the sun starts to go asleep a little bit more, our magnetic field is going to get weaker and weaker and weaker each year. Then what's going to happen to us? I mean, we are already getting pelted by an influx of cosmic rays, solar rays, and infrared radiation. I'm telling you now, folks, stay the hell out of the direct sun. If you're a sun worshiper and you like to go get suntanned, I'm warning you now, don't do it. Go to a tanning bed. Don't stay out there in this direct sunlight. You are going to get burned. I was talking with Mark from the Blue Kool-Aid channel 2 days ago. And Mark works outside. And he runs a crew of guys. And those guys are conditioned to working outside. Their skin. And they were all complaining because 15 minutes out in the sun in their daily work, they all got burnt. I got an email from another guy, sent me an email with a picture of the top of his bald head, and it was already blistering from being out in the sun cutting his grass. He didn't realize it until an hour later when he went in the house and his head was burning. And his wife said to him, "Oh my God, you have blisters on the top of your bald head." And the picture is just a little too graphic. His wife poked the blisters with a pin. It would, yeah, I can't show it to you on here. I'll get one of those graphic content strikes from the boob tube. But yeah, I've had a bunch of people sending me photographs, inboxing me of burnt shoulders, their backs being burned. One guy's a truck driver. He was driving through the northern part of Texas with his arm hanging out the window, his left arm, and just in 1 hour, he pulled over to refuel, and he noticed that his whole entire left arm from hanging out the window was burnt. So it's not only just the sun, folks, it's that radiation burn. When you're getting blisters like that, just look up what your skin would look like from radiation burns. It's horrifying. It truly is. And you won't catch me out there. No way. No way in hell. If you do have to go out there, you do have to work in these conditions, wear thin, long sleeves, wear clothing that's reflective, like the construction orange or construction yellow long sleeve shirts. They sell them online. They sell them at Walmart. And maybe something to keep over the back of your neck, and definitely protect your head with a hat. Also, these extreme infrared radiation, you can't see it with your eyes naturally, but extreme infrared radiation is very, very harmful to your eyes. So you definitely want to have some sunglasses on. No doubt about it. What we're looking at here, something that I've been noticing, and I've never really showed this that much, but this is the magnetic connectivity of the Earth and our planets, their magnetic connectivity with the sun. Now, every single planet has a magnetic connection to the sun, and sometimes it differs. Now, you're looking at Mars right there in the orange. That red or that orange circle identifies Mars. Earth is all the way down here in blue. So at this point in time on the 10th, the Earth had its magnetic connection to the south pole of the sun. Strange. And then you see this sunspot up here, 2740. The next thing you know, Mars already made a connection, a magnetic connection with 2741. Shortly after, the Earth, and you'll see it move up. I'll let this play. And then bingo, right there. You see how the Earth's magnetic connection jumped up from the south pole of the sun, and it now made a direct magnetic connection with sunspot 2740. So you now have Mars and the Earth magnetically connected to the sun and each of these sunspots. Down here, way down here in the yellow, Venus is still magnetically connected to the south pole of the sun. Very interesting. I haven't seen anything like that happen since, maybe 2015 or 16, somewhere around there. And then you could see they're moving right along the sun's equator, both Mars and the Earth magnetically connected to these two sunspots, and just making their way straight across. Now, it ends there. We'll get more data on that in the next day or two, and we'll see how it's reacting. This goes back to the 9th and the 10th, and this is showing you the electron flux, the radiation flux, coming into our planet again. Here you're looking at the daytime side and the nighttime side, and then just watch as it wraps around. The dotted line is the satellite belt, but you could just watch as that intensity pours in from the back side, and that's all being sucked in as it impacts the front side over here, and it literally makes its way around and zing, straight in. Look at that. And look at the, you'll see that got really, really erratic there for a second. You can see that. Those are tremendous hits on our magnetopause. Thank God it didn't last very long, short period of time. But that's all that it takes, folks. We'll get seismic activity that will induce during those periods of time. And, whenever we saw that X flare the other day, within hours, right where that X flare, where those photons hit the Earth, it induced that magnitude 7.2 earthquake. Yeah. So these are things that we're going to be looking at in the very near future as our magnetic field weakens. So we're basically, our shield is going to be weaker and weaker and weaker as time goes on. So minor things that happen on the sun, minor, are going to affect our planet in an extreme way, like what you're seeing here right now on your screen. These are extremes. And this is just yesterday and today. It's very intense. Very intense. Now, we haven't seen a lot of earthquake activity from these events on the 10th and the 11th and today so far. Normally, that takes about a good 48 hours, sometimes even 3 days, for all of that to penetrate all the way down into the Earth's core and cause disruptions, cause intense pressure, intense heating. And then where does it go? It forces its way through the tectonic plates, and bingo, we have pretty big earthquakes, magnitude 6. We haven't seen anything more than that 7.2. But here's the deal, folks. If we're seeing this now, in the beginning stages of all of this, that only tells me one thing, that things are going to be worse in the years to come. That's a fact. Now, right now, we're looking at the coronal mass ejection tracker, the CME tracker. And this is going to show you the coronal mass ejection that just occurred yesterday that was Earth-facing. And this is what we do actually kind of worry about. You have the Earth right here in yellow. The sun is in the middle in white. And you're going to see that coronal mass ejection follow right along that line, and it's going to be a direct impact on Earth several days later, like around the 15th or 16th. But I'll go ahead and I'll let it run, and you can see it come out right there. And that's a direct impact. So we will see that between the 15th, 16th, 17th. They may change this model. This is up to date. And yeah, that's a direct hit. We haven't seen one of those in a long time. But again, this is why I pay very close attention to space weather. Over the years, I kind of had a feeling that investigating this planet X and these stellar cores and figuring out what they actually are and what type of effects that they're going to have on the sun. This is when I started to figure out that they are going to have a very bad influence on the sun. And as I mentioned, one thing that I never ever thought about was the upcoming solar minimum. What shitty timing. I mean, honestly, the timing for that solar minimum couldn't be worse. But one day, we were going to have to go through it anyways. And that time is coming. Their projections for the beginning of this solar minimum is mid-June or the end of June. Some scientists say that we're already into it. Some say, yeah, just wait till June. But we're already seeing the weakening of our magnetic field already. So that's a telltale sign that things are going to progressively get worse each and every week. That much is a fact. And, I'm going to keep very, very, very close eye on it. A lot of you may find space weather boring. You may not want to even watch the videos if I do an update. But folks, I would learn more about this space weather, because this space weather is going to affect your life on this planet just as much as regular weather, with rain and hurricanes and tornadoes and snow. So the space weather is going to be something we need to watch every single day, just like we watch weather satellites. Try and get a little prediction on what's going to happen or what is happening out there on our sun. Now, right now, we're looking at the stereo ahead core 2, or the core 2 coronagraph. This is going to show you the coronal mass ejection that occurred yesterday. Now, the position that this space satellite is in, it's off to the left side of the Earth. So the camera view that you have now is from the stereo core 2 spacecraft. The Earth is right here where my cursor is. Okay? So this is not a view from the Earth. This is the view from the stereo ahead craft. It's off to the left side of the Earth, far away, and the Earth is right here where my cursor is. So I'll go ahead and let this run out, and you can see the coronal mass ejection. I'll put my cursor there, and bingo. So we'll be seeing that impact 15th, 16th, 17th. This is just giving you a different view of a differential and the core 2. And it was kind of odd. I've never seen... I'm going to stop this real quick and just back up a little bit. See if I could catch this loop. See that round loop right there? I've never seen anything like that. Folks, I've been following space weather, my God, I don't know, maybe 15 years or more. And I've seen many coronal mass ejections, very, very violent ones over the years, but I've never seen one that's had this kind of a weird, like a loop in it. It was kind of odd. I kept playing this over and over and over again yesterday, trying to figure out why that occurred. And I still haven't figured it out. But once again, if you're in the space weather, that was kind of interesting. This is a view of the eruption on the sun. This is the view of the coronal mass ejection on the sun, looking at the SDO, 211 angstroms of light. This is the 193. As you can see, it was right between those two sunspots, and it was just a little further up. So that blast actually kind of went upward, but we will still see it here on Earth around the 15th, 16th, 17th of the month. It's not going to be anything to write home about. We may see some aurora, maybe some GPS fluctuations, cell phone fluctuations, things of that nature. Nothing that's going to harm us in any way. Just so nobody thinks I'm out there fear-mongering. But once again, looking back at the magnetosphere, you see the dark-colored gold colors to the right. Those are all intense fluctuations coming in and bouncing off of our Earth shield that is supposed to be protecting our planet. But like I said, folks, it's weakening, and more and more and more of that is getting right through. So what I can analogize this to is you standing on one side of a screen and me standing on the other side of the screen and squirting water in your face with a squirt gun. Not all of it's going to get through, but some of it's going to get through and hit you right in the face. So that's basically what's happening to our Earth shield right now. It is giving us protection, but it is weakening. And more and more and more of this energy is going to be making it through. It's going to impact the Earth every single day. Every day. So this is what we have to look forward to. And if you're not taking any of this seriously, hey, don't. But I do believe in the time to come, you'll start taking it a little bit more seriously, especially if you become a victim or a statistic of weather or what's coming from the sun. And, you know, as we move further into this solar minimum, the influx of this infrared radiation that is definitely coming from this Planet X object, no doubt in my mind, no doubt. The infrared radiation produces heat. Now that's going to heat up our upper atmosphere, and we will probably see storms, cyclones, typhoons, hurricanes like we've never seen before. All I could say is the folks in the National Hurricane Center and the folks on the Weather Channel and AccuWeather are going to be pretty damn busy. But we'll see. I'm not sure if it's going to be a real active time in the Atlantic, in Hurricane Alley, but I do believe we're going to see a lot of activity hurricane-wise in the Gulf of Mexico and forming down south of Cuba. And they're going to be wrapping right up. And with the way the jet stream is, we could see these hurricanes moving very, very rapidly and doing a lot of destruction. Or we can see them slowing down and doing catastrophic destruction. So, looking at the magnetopause, you can see, folks, it's completely out of whack. I don't even know how to judge what I was seeing. And this is today, right now. What you're seeing now is what happened to our magnetopause at 8 o'clock in the morning UTC time, which is, we're like 4 hours difference. So again, you know, it's just, it's insane. And this video is just actually starting over. This was all of the space weather that I put together for you guys to take a look at. And this is what we're facing. I'm going to go ahead and jump out of this video. And there was one more that I did want to show you guys. Where is it in this repertoire of videos? Some more flooding videos. This was a weird occurrence here. I forget where this was. I have so many people that send me. This was in the United States. Oh, where was this? I forget what state this was. But people walking out of this Walmart, they were pretty overwhelmed at what they saw. And I've never seen anything like that in my life. And you could see that guy right there in the khaki-colored shorts. He's pulling his cell phone out to take a picture of it because, you know, even though he's an older guy, he's probably seen a lot in his life. He's never seen anything like that before, and neither have I. And if I walked out of a store and I saw that, I would think the end of the world was coming, to be honest with you. Yep, there he goes, taking a picture. Pretty insane. Yeah, I don't even know what the hell to make of that, folks. That's just some really, really, really weird cloud formations. And it looks so heavy that it's made its way all the way down to the treetops. pretty intense. But I'm going to pop out of here for a second. And what did I want to show you guys? I've had a lot of people asking me questions again about this orbit of planet X, and how do I know that I'm correct? And like I said before, folks, I've been documenting this for a long time, and it's just been since about 2016. I'm going to go ahead and bring this picture up real quick. It's only been since about 2016 that I've actually made a lot of progress in capturing this object orbiting the sun. It was back in 2007 that I was sent the first footage of this object orbiting the sun in 2007. Most of you have seen that Core 2 footage. So people keep asking me, what about Nibiru? What about Nibiru? And I keep telling you folks that Nibiru is pretty much nothing more than a mythological story. I truly believe that 25, 30 years ago, maybe even 35 years ago, I believe that the government actually invented that story, knowing full well that somewhere down the line conspiracy theorists would pick up on it, create outlandish stories about it, and then if anybody kind of like me stumbled onto what is really out there, I could be easily discredited. But I don't think they took into consideration how much research and how much work I was going to do in finding this object, or now we know there are several of them. And now I know that every 28 days, that object is in a very eccentric orbit around our sun, a very, very tight orbit. Doing years of research into understanding how stars react with each other and binary star systems. And I'm not talking about a binary star system where two stars are, billions of miles apart. Talking about a binary system where the stars are very, very close together. I mean, well, the astronomers call them kissing stars because they're so tight and so close to each other. And they rotate and spin, and the orbits are so fast it would make your head spin. So putting all that together over the years and getting actual photographic evidence since 2007 led me to believe that the whole story of Nibiru was kind of like a hoax. I've read everything that Zecharia Sitchin has put out there. I've examined his work inside and out, and I see no proof, none, zero, that the object that orbits our sun now is this 3,600-year orbit of a Nibiru. I do believe that Carlos Ferrata and Dr. Robert Harrington had opportunities to view this object when it was a long, long ways away. And if they were alive today, they would probably agree with me because their research was very early on. During their research, this object was so far out of view, even with a massive space telescope like IRAS, the only thing that you would have seen would be a little tiny red dot. You wouldn't be able to tell much of anything, especially its orbit. all you would be able to judge after a long period of observation would be possibly its direction, where it is going. And I believe that that's what Dr. Robert Harrington fell into. He actually calculated where this object was coming from and where it was going. And I think he knew that it was coming straight for our solar system. But from down below the ecliptic. That's why he observed it in New Zealand. So he was at a portion of the Earth where he could see into space using that observatory telescope far down south. And I also believe that that's why they have that big telescope down there in the Antarctic. And they probably get really good views of this object when it dips below the ecliptic now. But this object is definitely orbiting our sun every 28 days. It's very easily to prove now, just based on the observational evidence. So if it was on a 3,600-year orbit, folks, it would have been gone by now. But it's not. Unfortunately, it's become part of our inner solar system. And people can argue with me all day long that, calling me, you're wrong, you're wrong, you're wrong. I'll tell you what, folks, here's the deal. Just recently, there was a Planet X convention of sorts. Let's see here. Pastor Paul Begley was there. I think Marshall Masters was there. There was a whole bunch of all of these people from YouTube out there at this so-called Planet X convention. This guy from Israeli News. They invited all kinds of other people. But here's the thing, folks. If they were really seeking the truth based on what you've seen here on my channel, why wouldn't you invite me? I'll tell you why. Because none of these crackpots know what they're talking about, nor do they have the scientific or observational evidence to prove anything that they are saying. Just like the other YouTube channels that you see out there that push the whole Nibiru theory. I mean, got that one channel over there, WSO. He's telling people that where the Earth is being mechanically pushed out of its orbit and heading towards Jupiter. See, that's what gets me upset, folks, is people not telling all of you the truth. And if you're watching me, listening to me, then you yourself are a truther. You want the truth. You don't want lies. You don't want make-believe. You don't want story time. You want the truth. And it does get under my skin. When somebody outright is making videos for tens of thousands of people to see, and you're telling them that the Earth is heading out towards Jupiter, and now the Earth is going to be orbiting Jupiter here sometime in the future. Folks, we'd all be dead. That can't happen. It will not happen. We would all be dead. The Earth would freeze instantaneously, leaving its orbit, heading in that direction. Everybody would die. So, again, watch what you're watching. Hey dog, take it easy. My little wiener dog barking at the neighbor outside. Might have to go over there and jack my neighbor up. So be careful what you're watching, folks. The abundance of the questions that I get from you guys is, hey, did you see what Steve Olson's saying? Hey, do you see what this one's saying? Hey, look what Pastor Paul Begley's saying. Listen, folks, Pastor Paul Begley does not do scientific research like I do. The guy from Israeli News does not do scientific research like I do. I invest 14 hours a day, 7 days a week. I've been learning this for more than 20 years. Okay? Every single week on Pastor Paul's channel, the earth is coming to an end. It is the end of days. The apocalypto. Untrue. But people still like watching that drama. But if you watch that drama and you know better, then don't ask me those questions. And once again, there's no planets in the sky. There's no planets in the clouds. At least not yet. If we see those, look the hell out. I have a picture here I wanted to show you guys. I spotted this in some type of commercial advertisement, and I was a little freaked out. And you know how we're always talking about this sun simulator? And they were actually talking about a solar sail and putting something like this together in space to block solar radiation or to block the impact of a solar flare or a coronal mass ejection. And when I saw this picture, I said, holy hell. This looks like a little soft disclosure. And people think that they can't build things in space. But yeah, folks, they can build them. They can actually build things in space a lot easier than you think. You know, they come in components, and they're able to fly them up there like they did with the space shuttle and build the space station. So what makes you think they can't clip something like that together over time? Maybe something not that big. Who knows? But this just really got me thinking. And it probably has some of you thinking right now. Pretty cool picture. Makes me always wonder what the hell is truly up there. But anyways, folks, I wanted to just jump over here real quick. And jump over here to the Planet X News website real quick. This article I just was investigating first thing this morning, and this was all of the severe flooding in Paraguay down in South America. Oh my Lord. 40,000 people displaced. Folks, 40,000. 40,000. That's just absolutely insane. I'll give you guys a link to this, or you could just go to the planetxnews.org website and check it out for yourself. It's just very sad. Here is a video. Oh my Lord, this is in Paraguay. This was on the 10th, just 2 days ago. I mean, that's very dangerous. Look at that. The streets turned to rivers. This just happened in Russia also. I do have a video of it. It's somewhere. Somebody from Russia sent it to me to show me what their neighborhood looked like. And cars were floating upside down. And a few people did lose their lives. They were trapped in their cars as their cars got flipped over. But you could watch this. You could watch this full article and video. Excuse me. Watch the full video in the article. And this is an aerial view that just came in. And look at that. I mean, that's like, it looks like Venice in Italy. No need for a car. You need a boat to get around from house to house. And, same thing here. Rescue workers trying to help people. And again, I mean, these water levels are very, very high. We're not talking some of these areas in Paraguay, just an inch or two. These areas were like up past your knee. So there was that article, and wanted to show you guys a few more things you could check out. This was the train derailment yesterday and going into today, and this was just horrible. And again, one person lost their life. This was down in Mississippi. This was an aerial photograph taken by a drone. And thank God these weren't like oil tankers or gasoline or something like that would have spilled. Oh, Lord, that would have been horrible. But what happened is the floodwaters came in down there in Mississippi. This was Pearl River County, and washed out some of the tracks. The engineers on the train, they weren't aware of it. And the next thing you know, boom, high speeding train. It hits that part of the tracks. You could see the locomotive, the engine right there. All of the train cars piled up. And yes, you could see right there, they're down in some water. Here's video of it. This is an aerial. This was also taken by a drone. And you can see it's just kind of the same as the actual picture. But just horrible. You can check all of this out right within the article. Here is an actual news broadcast from Channel 17 in Hillsdale, Mississippi. They were getting aerial views from their helicopter, checking this out. And you could see right here, right there, you could see where the railroad tracks disappeared, and right over there. They were just flooded out. And the ground underneath the railroad ties, well, it disappeared from being washed out. And as that speeding locomotive came, look out. That was a catastrophe just waiting to happen, and it didn't take long. It definitely happened. They gave a list of the roads in that area that you cannot pass by. Weather Nation posted another aerial view on Twitter. Just horrible. And this was another video. There's the locomotive. And you could see the water was coming from this side over here in the trees. And it literally washed out the ground underneath the tracks. And that was it. That was your catalyst for destruction. So who would have ever thought that a flood would derail a train? Well, here we are, May 12th, 2019, and climate chaos derails an entire train. Interesting. Very interesting. 2 days ago, I dropped an article on here doing some research. You guys may find this interesting also. And all the statistics are coming out already. And the wettest 12-month period in recorded history here in the United States. And this may be something that if you live in any of these areas that you see here, you may want to read this article, because this is going to give you data and information on what is to come. And when you live in these areas, listen, information is what you need the most, that need to know basis. And there's quite a bit that I put in here. And, NOAA came out with this whole entire report. I read through it, all of it, every bit of it. And it's all listed right in here, all of their maps that they placed in here. U.S. Drought monitor, and you can see drought areas. They're not very prevalent. So the United States is not going to be in any kind of a drought. Things are going to be wet, soggy, and flooded. And just using this map real quick, all of this area up here, as we start getting more and more thaw, all of this water, it's just going to come straight on down the great old Mississippi River. We've already seen catastrophic flooding in Davenport, Iowa, when the levees broke last week, broke along the Mississippi, and put Davenport like 6 feet underwater. And they said that it would probably be about a month before they could get the water to start to recede. And that was only if more rain did not come. And as we see looking at those weather patterns earlier, that's not going to happen. A lot of things to pay close attention to. Now, they were saying in this area here, this was all the way back in 2016, this U.S. drought monitor. And you could see this section of California. This is where they were complaining, oh, California's in this drought. California's in this drought. Well, as you could see, from 2016 going into 2017, that drought disappeared. 2018, that drought disappeared, moved over towards the east. And then here we are in 2019, same month, no drought. You see some moderate drought here, but that's it. So I don't think we're going to see any drought conditions here in the United States. We may see them in other parts of the world, but I don't think we're going to see it here in the United States. I think we're going to be dealing with a lot of flooding and a lot of really, really bad storms. No doubt about it. Also, folks, Dr. Albers and I, we just teamed up with Barnes & Noble for our books, and they're now available on Barnes & Noble and also Amazon. And I've recently just published 4 of them on Barnes & Noble. And the link is in the description box underneath the video. And Dr. Albers just published her own book, maybe 2 weeks ago. And this one was called Planet X and the Bible. She put together a lot of work, and that's about 150 pages. And another latest book, she actually wrote 2 books in 2 weeks, The Greatest Cover-Up in World History. So these 2 books are brand new, number 11 and number 12. And also people keep asking about the book that we wrote on chemtrails, the silent killers in the sky. That's right there. And also all of the information that we gathered on the sun simulator, the evidence that we acquired is in that book. And, it's one thing to watch a video, folks, but when you sit down and you could read the information, the internet may not be around forever. And some of the best ways of teaching someone is to hand them a book. All of our books are fully stocked with full color, high definition photographs. And Dr. Albers does all of her own graph work, and very, very well put together. Very well. But everything is available on Barnes & Noble now. And we were starting to shift over to Barnes & Noble because now the books will actually be made available in the stores. And you could order the book, have it shipped to your local Barnes & Noble store, or you could just have it shipped directly to your home. But the links for the books, they are in the description box. And you could always just shoot right over here to Planet X News. You could join our private network. You could join, I just got out of there. Sorry about that. My little click button was going crazy. My little mouse. But yeah, anything over here, planetxnews.org. Let me just go ahead and jump over there. I'll copy the URL link. I'll put it in the live chat for all of you folks. You can go ahead and check it out. I also added a new feature here a couple of days ago on our website, and all of our videos, all of our articles, all of the tools that I use right over here, where you can check the SDO, earthquake maps, Stereo Core 2, LASCO, SOHO, ISWA, everything that you need to know and check. All of the direct links are right there. You don't have to go anywhere else but here. What I added is a daily view of the sun from the SDO, the Solar Dynamics Observatory. I'll date it every single day. It will be put up here, and all you got to do is click on it and play it. You can check it out. If you're here just looking around, you want to check out a quick view. The other day I had 6 different views of the sun embedded here on the website. And again, all of our articles right here. Everything that you need is right there. And even if you're on our website, you could watch our live stream right there on our website. You don't even have to go to YouTube. It's automatically live streaming on our website as we speak. And right down below, folks, if you want to get yourself email notifications whenever I upload articles, just click right there. Put your email address in and sign up. Keep yourself informed. And for all of you folks that would like to join our private network, listen, I'm telling you right now, sooner or later, they're going to start purging YouTube channels again. And, I can't say that they would do it to us, but they definitely filter my content here on Planet X News. There's no doubt in my mind, folks. They've been doing it for quite a long time. Nothing I can do about it. We keep putting on thousands and thousands and thousands of new subscribers every single week, every single month. And, people are not getting they're not getting the notifications. They're not seeing what was I looking for? They're not seeing the video uploads, the live stream events. They're not seeing anything. So it's pretty sad. But our private network, I am able to put more things out there on a daily basis. And we have over like 135, 140 people who've already signed up. And I give you access to my Google Drive for videos and pictures and reports. And Dr. Albers is going to be uploading her reports every single day for you guys to download. So now you actually have the ability to download her reports, and you can use them to make your own videos. I'm trying to find something here real quick. Here we go. You'll be able to, use her reports, read through them, and you may even want to start utilizing her reports on your channel. And you could use some of my data and things of that nature and start getting the word out, folks. Your YouTube channels aren't censored like mine is. That's one of the main reasons I had to go start moving towards this private membership platform, because you're a member, you're a paid member, and you get your notifications. They don't censor the content that I put up there. And all of it is very, very, very informative. All of it. So if you could afford the $10 a month or the $5 a month, whatever tier you want to be on, the link is in the description box. Join up. Join up. I wanted to just touch real quick before I end this live stream People keep asking me over and over and over again about this orbit. And this is it right here, folks. This is it. You guys could take a screenshot of this if you want. It's available on our Planet X News Facebook page. It's available on our private network page. But this is it. This object has this very eccentric orbit. It dips down below the ecliptic, and then it comes back up. As it comes back up, it's coming back up on the left side of the sun, our view from the SDO. That's why I was saying we may see these sunspots reemerge into new activity once they start getting around the back side of the sun, as they cross the front face of the sun facing the Earth. This object is inside of the orbit of Mercury. That's how close it is to the sun. Every 28 days, this object is making one full rotation around the sun. If it was on a 3,600-year orbit, folks, it would be gone. Excuse me. It would be gone. So that throws out the whole Gil-Broussard theory, the whole Zacharias-Sitchin theory, the whole Marshall Masters theory. It throws it all out. Because within their theories, this would have happened already, and this object would have came in, and it would have went out. It would have caused all the destruction like the fairy tale says, and would be picking up the pieces. So how is it that since 2007, we've actually started to see the object orbiting the sun, and the orbit over those periods of years has shrunk down? And if you start to learn about the dynamics of stars and brown dwarf stars and how the sun has the ability through its gravitational force to pull things in closer to it and hold them there in an orbit. So this object was coming in and coming in and coming in, possibly jumped into a very elongated orbit with the sun many years ago. But now that orbit has shrunk. It has shrunk all the way down to where it is now, and it's not going anywhere soon. So if any of you are fans of Pastor Paul Begley and Israeli News Live or Marshall Masters or WSO or who the hell ever, let them know that what they're showing everybody is wrong. And I can prove it. I have for going on 4 years now. We really made some headwaves towards the end of 2017 and where we are right now. Very interesting subject to deal with, but it's causing some serious problems, and it will do so for the rest of all of our lifetimes and many more to come after. Our biggest threat is getting through this solar minimum. That's going to be our biggest threat. The interaction of these objects with the sun going through its 11-year cycle, our magnetosphere weakening, the heavier influx of infrared radiation, cosmic radiation. It's all right here. It is a cocktail of destruction. But everybody should really be out there, searching for the truth, not just creating these fairy tales for people to watch interesting YouTube videos. That's what gets me mad. I've worked the better part of my life to find this truth. And I would like everybody to know, everybody to educate themselves on what is happening. That little bit of knowledge may just save your life. May just help you save someone else's life. Think about that. If you didn't know what was happening, just imagine how much of a panic you would be in. But for all of you that watch Planet X News, you're becoming enlightened. You're here for a reason. You're not here because you like me. You're here because of the information that I put out and what I find. So that's going to be the end of my live stream for today, Mother's Day. Once again, folks, for all the moms out there, have a happy Mother's Day. And for all of you dads that play both roles, and moms, have a great day. And folks, like I've been saying, watch your weather. Watch your weather. And once again, if you see a flooded road or street, don't drive down it. Doesn't take much for your car to wash away, flip over, trap you, and drown you. So be safe, folks. You will hear from me tomorrow if anything occurs in an emergency. We see something happening on the sun today, you'll definitely hear from me. Share our videos on your social media networks. Let everybody have the opportunity to see and learn what you guys are. Take care, folks. Have a happy Mother's Day.